I got with me today, fresh from out of the great state of Oklahoma. And boy, let me tell y'all, I am super excited about this conversation and this interview that I have with me today, Derrick Sier. Derrick, welcome to This is America. How are you, sir?
Doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm doing okay.
Amazing.
Yeah. Hey, listen, thank you again. Like I said, I was super excited. I got up at like 5 o'clock this morning, went to the gym, got a sweat out. I've been thinking. I was up all night, bro. I could not stop thinking about this opportunity and this chance to talk to you. I'm serious, bro. I'm serious, man. We're gonna make sure we give you your fires, Derrick. And I want to say the reason why I wanted Derrick on, I actually just recently met him in person. He comes highly recommended. I've been in a lot of spaces wanting to be involved and offer service, and a lot of people have always mentioned Derrick Sier. I reached out to him on social media a while back, and then we ran into each other at an event, and we got to talking, and he was like, "Oh shoot, I see that you already sent me an invite." So I'm like, "Yeah, you better accept it," because I be Facebook banging out here, Derrick.
Hey, listen, you be going hard, bro. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And so, listen, it's an honor, and I appreciate you for blessing the platform with your presence. Now, I know you're going through a lot right now. You got a political campaign you're starting up. You got a lot of events, so we're going to make this as smooth and as quick as possible. Yeah. But before we get going, man, tell us a little bit about who Derrick is. I want to know a little bit about you at your core. And Derrick, just for heads up and transparency, I'm probably have some like heartfelt music behind this. So let us fill you on this. Tell us a little bit about Derrick.
When I was about 8 years old, no, so you take it way back. Yeah, man, born and raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Went to Booker T. Washington High School, graduated while I was there, played football. I was part of the rugby team. Wow. I threw shot and disc while I was there. Wrestled, let the big guys beat up on me. So just kind of a kid that just was involved in a lot of different things. I was in 3 choirs as well. I had a job. I was a cheerleader, dated the head cheerleader while I was there.
Nice.
Then went on to go play football in Iowa for a bit, moved back home, worked while my wife finished her degree, and then she worked while I finished mine. Nice. And worked for oil and gas for a while I was at University of Central Oklahoma. Graduated with my bachelor's degree in recreation management, kinesiology. Nice. Went on to start a business and a company called Omas Team Building that focuses on professional development and training. Launched a mentoring company helping establish mentoring programs, recruit and train mentors, and create safe spaces for adults and kids to connect. Along that time, wrote 5 books. Sat on close to 10 boards. Man, I built a house on the east side of Oklahoma City.
Nice.
I spent my dollars over here. My kids graduated from school over here. I got 2 kids in college right now. So a lot of that took me from a community in North Tulsa. And while I bounced around, I ended up settling in Oklahoma City in a community that was just like North Tulsa. Mm-hmm. And I have to remind folks, man, that I could have lived anywhere, but I chose this side of the city. Like this is the side of the city that spoke to me, that felt most like home. Built a house here, moved my kids here, built a company here, sat on boards that serve this community, took jobs that benefit this community at the local, the state, and the federal level. So a lot of who I am is because of North Tulsa, but the rest of who I am is because of the east side of Oklahoma City. So I'm here to stay, man. And I think I caught you up. Is that? I hopefully the music behind that makes it sound a little bit more dramatic than it actually was.
No, it's gonna be perfect. There's so many different AI tools out there right now, Derrick, and so all I got to do is take what you said and find some music that fits good with it. But I envision having some heartfelt music in there, and man, it sounds like you're making a huge impact, and it sounds like you've made an impact your whole entire life. Yeah. I believe it. You have the presence of someone that makes an impact. Now, you said you played football. I want to go back to that just a little bit. What position did you play?
So in high school, I ended up playing. I started out playing linebacker.
Okay.
But my feet was a little too heavy. I had a feet for it. So they tried me out at Mike. They tried me out at Sam. Then they put me.
You just like hitting people, huh?
Like, listen. Yeah. I did not like hitting people. What I did like was doing the things that nobody else wanted to do. And so we switched from a 4-3 to a 5-2, and nobody wanted to play nose guard. And I was like, Coach, I'll do it. And so got to play nose guard my senior year of high school, slapping the helmets of centers and guards, just pop, pop, little swim and rip. But ironically, also on offense, I played center. I know, and we had a really small line, and we zone read everything. Nothing was downhill because we weren't that big. So we zoned everything
to the edges.
I know. Yeah. And then in college, I went to college on a deep snap scholarship. Put me in as a prevent defensive back, and so it was like this weird strong safety, weird linebacker. It's like you're too fast to be a linebacker, too slow to be a DB. So we're gonna put you in on 3rd and 25.
Hey, we'll take it.
Listen, I'll take it. So
I
did snap M. I did PATs and punts, or field goals and punts in college, and then they had me in on prevent on their 5-set, and then special teams. Man, I was the guy. They called me a crash dummy. On kickoffs, I broke up the wedge. That was my only job. They said, Derrick, if you're making tackles, you're not doing your job. And so my whole job, I went in head first, just earning my scholarship every kickoff, just boom. So, that was my football career, man. It was very short-lived.
No, man, but it sounds like you were dedicated. You were all in. I would imagine you were probably a team captain.
I was a special teams captain.
Okay. But listen, man, it sounds like you were someone who showed up, and a lot of guys, even probably the best athlete, would look up to someone like you that puts in the work. I know I had a football career, man, and I was such an egotistical, I don't want to say a bad word, but butthead, and I was so full of myself that a lot of what was going on around me I missed. But after reflecting as an adult, I recognized I had some really good teammates and people who really dedicated themselves to what they were doing. And they found the time to get everything that, an athlete needs to get into their day done, and it sounds like you were that type of player. And I know as a political candidate and someone who's in so many different spaces, time management is so key because it sounds like you do quite a bit and you've got time, and stuff like that. Tell me real quick, what's a good way, and maybe you can help a lot of listeners out. What's a good way to help better manage time? What are you doing to better manage your time, and how you're able to stay on top of the different things that you're doing?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of different elements. One is you want to make sure that you kind of give yourself some room to breathe. I'm still learning how to do this. One of the things that my wife and I talk about often is just because it's open time doesn't mean it's available time. And so I look at my schedule and I'm like, there's nothing there, and so I can put something there. And I'm always having to remind myself and be reminded that just because it's open time doesn't mean it's available time. So that's one thing. I think we got to create some space for organic connection and movement, for nuance, for extended conversation. Yes. We got to be available in spaces, and availability allows us to be present in those spaces. And so that's one side. I think we got to let our schedules breathe a little bit. The other side, I think, is making sure it's like as we plan our day, there's some things that are very, very important to us. And then there's some things that come along that we just are just fun, and we say yes to those things. And so I was talking to somebody that said, we want to make sure that we have something that's important, something that's fun, something that's passion. Like they had this list of things that should fill your day. Actually, I think it was my wife. And let me not say somebody. I think it was my wife that told me. She sent me this social media thing that was like, these are the 5 or 6 things that you should have in your schedule every single day. And the reason that I think that's important is because I think we could lean towards productivity and fill our schedule with productive things, but we didn't have any fun that day. Or I've gone a whole day, man, and not seen my wife. I can wake up and get out the house before she's awake, and then I could come home and then she sleep. And I filled my day with so many things that allow me to feel accomplished and productive, but not connected. And so I want to make sure that not only do we leave space in our schedule to breathe and for organic connection and for conversations to run long, and we can redeem time when they run short, but I think we should also be intentional about the things that we put in those slots. Yeah. Right? Did I eat? Did I exercise? Did I connect with people that I love? Did I zone out on social media for 15 minutes? Did I, like kind of those things that we enjoy? We want to make sure that our day isn't so full with productivity and accomplishments that we miss the things we enjoy.
Beautifully said. And I'm a work in progress on that. My wife and I, we kind of have the similar thing. Like we roll out of bed, we won't see each other until the very next day, and then even then that's a short period of time. And for me, man, personally, I've got a 1099 position where I create my own schedule. Sometimes I catch myself scrolling. Sometimes I catch myself just sitting there in space, not doing anything that's going to be, productive towards any of my projects that I've been working on. And so I'm definitely going to come back and listen to this, write some notes down. I don't have my pen and paper. I usually do. And I know you're short on time, so let's keep this thing moving.
Now, hold on, wait. I want to provide some context for something you just said.
Yeah.
I think there's the people who I don't want to demonize social media or scrolling. I know they call it doom scrolling, the young folks, but I think people do different things to unplug and unwind. And I think what social media has done for folks that are highly productive, that are high motion, high motivated, is that social media allows us it does the work for us that we've been doing for others the whole day. I'll say something a little bit more about that. When I pull my phone out and for those 15 to 20 minutes, or, I'll be honest, like a large majority of my time that I spend on social media is like also when I'm using the restroom. Yeah, right. It's like I'm just sitting there, right. Let me pull this phone out real quick, and I'm probably in there
leg getting numb, everything.
Listen, toes start tingling. I'm like, I've been here too long. But a lot of that is because it's like, man, I've done a lot of cool stuff. I've met people. I've turned in reports. I finished a product, and now my reward for some people it's a snack. Or maybe it's a drink, or maybe it's a walk, or maybe they go get in their garden, or rub their dog, or play with their cat, whatever it is. But for others, I think the scrolling and allow social media to do something for us that we've been doing for others all day, I think is the reward. And sometimes it feels refreshing to like turn my attention to something that's completely different and then come back to focus. Like I'll do that oftentimes. I'll be like, you know what, man, let me take my glasses off, pull my phone out, check some messages on Instagram, on social media, check my LinkedIn. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm back. And so I know sometimes people feel bad for pulling that phone out and for scrolling a little bit, but I want to release that guilt. Listen to me, y'all. If y'all watching this right now, let me free you up from doom scrolling shame. Do not be ashamed. Now listen, we can't look up and we can't lose 90 minutes. Right, we can't lose 2 hours to it, right? Yeah. That's not having control of that moment. But I want to, for anybody that you in your car and right before you go into a meeting, you check some messages, you scroll real quick, you kind of debrief and reset, and that's what you're using it for. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, that's good too. I love it, man. It's a part of leisure, right? Part of disconnecting in its own way. Yeah, absolutely. And the whole trick is not to get carried away. Everything's, I think my wife says it best, everything's, all things in moderation, right? Yeah. So that's a really good point. And there is a way to disconnect. And it just kind of just taking that, and I want to frame this next question as best as I can and put that together. But we look at society, sometimes we need those breaks. Yeah. Some people will dive in and that's all they do is consume themselves for social media. Some people will be able to have that fine medium right there where they just have enough time to disconnect and then right back into reality. My concern, Derrick, is that we're going to see more people more distracted by social media, bringing more of a social disconnect. Yeah, I want to keep this within America's framework because this is America Podcast. And before we get into our mentorship questions and discussion, I'm curious to what you think about America, our country. We got doom scrolling. We've got people that are able to do just enough scrolling and get back to work or get back to life. We've got a society, some say it's in the shambles. Well, we've got the war in Iran. We've got a president that just seems completely disconnected from the everyday people. We have other people saying, hey, man, the Democratic Party doesn't work for me. The Republican Party don't like this many people or this kind of people. The country seems like we're in a reset. We have a real good opportunity to build upon some more understanding across group spectrums. But I'm curious to what do you think about America right now?
Yeah, I like that the reframe that you put there on the end. We have a lot of opportunity. There was I was talking to somebody that was talking about Oklahoma and where we are in education and being 50th, 49th. I'm not quite sure where that rank is. I know we're at the bottom.
Right.
And I heard somebody say there's nowhere else to go but up.
Right, exactly.
Now I won't put America in that bucket or use that example. I will use it as a reference point to talk about the opportunity for upward mobility. I think when we look at our situation, I think that it's so easy to kind of stand in the moment, and we want to look forward and we want to look back, and we're trying to figure out where we came from and what are some elements we can go back to, but what are some things we need to leave and things that we need to move forward. I think this is the idea, the concept, and when people say, make America great again, it's a very finite view of history and what was good, right? I was in the bank, in Mid-First Bank, and I was talking to this lady, and she was like, we need to go back to the days where, men provided for their families and women stayed home and raised their kids, and they controlled the house, and men went out. And I'm like, as she's talking, I'm like, there are some people that are nodding and applauding this, but there are people that are also like, that was not a time, because you got to also keep in mind what the scrutiny and the pressure that women were under in that environment. You got to think about the social things that were happening during that time as well. And so when we talk about America and where we are, I think we are in a really cool, unique position in history, in time, to make a pivot towards some really, really great things. You think about healthcare right now in Oklahoma. We have the opportunity to expand it or to disband it, to increase it or decrease it. When we think about minimum wage, we have an opportunity to help people have a living wage, a livable wage, or we can continue to pour money in other areas because we don't have a living wage. I was talking to this same lady the other day, and she was saying, I would much rather, this is crazy to me. I said, we're going to have to pay because our systems are set up. These Medicaid, Medicare, law enforcement, jails, all these rules and things are set up for, I believe, a population that break rules, that, won't have the things. And if you're a Bible reading, if you're a scripture reference person, the Bible says the poor will always be with us. They will always be with us. There's always going to be a part of our society and our community that will need that help. If that is the case, then we need to prepare to offer and provide that help. Now, I'm talking to this lady. Keep in mind, I'm long-winded. This is why the 3 minutes don't work for me on the panel. I'm laying this plane though. But she said, I would much rather pay for people in prison than for them to figure it out in public. I was like, ma'am, we're gonna have to pay regardless. This is a part of the population that we're gonna have to pay. And she's like, I would much rather pay for them in prison than pay for them to be in public. And of course, she's talking about people that are having, 8, 9, 10 kids, people that are living on a system that have no intent to work, all these different things. And I'm like, I understand you frustrated. I understand that you done paid your house off and you still got to pay property tax for a school that you don't go to and a library that you don't frequent. I get it. I understand. But the truth of the matter is that we are community. We are together. And just because you don't use some of this stuff and just because you did it a certain way, don't mean you're disconnected from the people who are living differently. And so part of community, part of America, is that we have to come together and think of these issues as us. Would I want my kid to go to that school? Would I want my grandma and my grandpa to live in that place? Would I want them to receive that health care? Would I want them? If the answer is no, then I have to be able to pour into a system so that other people get an opportunity to live how my grandma lives and how my kid lives and how my school lives and the technology and resources that I have access to, that my roads and my sidewalks and my lights and my golf courses and my parks and my grocery stores, right? I want everybody to have access to it. So America's in a really cool spot right now where we get to redefine what we is, what America is, what community is. And I think there's some people out there they're ready for the challenge. I mean, myself, I'm one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautifully said, man. And, You gave me the chills when you were saying that. I feel the same way in terms of the opportunity that we have, and really kind of listening to people too, because it sounds like you were able to take the time, listen to where this lady's position was, even if you disagreed with it, you were able to shine.
I disagreed. Yes.
Exactly, yeah. And so that's where we're at. Special time to be able to do more of that. Like I said, your bread and butter is mentorship. I love mentorship. I've always thought about what it would be like to have an organization around, to mentor kids. And I have a quick story. I actually was a CHW for the Oklahoma County Health Department and Guiding Right. And part of our responsibility was to work close with students and their families to get them connected with resources.
Okay.
One of the number one requested resource was a mentor. Yeah. And we, since 2000, I worked at OCCHD at 2019 and 2022-ish.
Okay.
And then at Guiding Right between 2003 and 2004, I think. During that time, Derrick, it was hard to find mentors for those families that were requesting it for their children. There's mostly a lot of single parents, mostly single mother that are needing mentors for their kids. And I'm curious, from someone who's been in that space, why might it be hard to find mentors in certain communities?
Yeah, I think that people who think about mentoring, they have all these obstacles. Well, first of all, there's the fear or the idea of inadequacy, of like, who am I to tell somebody else how to live, or what advice do I have? And so that's the number one thing that I find is the biggest obstacle, is people feel inadequate to stand in front of others and tell them how to do something. Yeah. But I tell people all the time, I said, if you still living, you're still learning. And if you're still learning, you can still teach. And to me, that's really important, because I want to make sure that people know that they're simply sharing from what they've learned the most. Right? If I am learning something, if I am living, if I have some sort of experience, then you can share those things.
Right.
And I think that's really important, because, and this is one of my famous lines, and it gets kids every single time. I'm like, I'm a time traveler. My friend, I'm speaking to you. I've come back from the future. I am from 30 years from the future, and I'm coming back to tell you what I've seen, wow, what I learned, what I've experienced, and I'm trying to put you on game. If I came back literally from the future and I was like, hey, bet on black 22, right? If I came back and I was like, hey, listen, we're gonna have a black president. If I came back and was like, if I came back, and I'm telling kids all the time, I'm coming back from the future and I'm telling you these things. So anytime that there's an age or an experience disparity, then there's information to be shared backwards, downwards. So I want to dispel the myth that mentors are inadequate. If you've been living, if you've been learning, then you can share some of those things. Number two, I think people don't mentor because they have all of these obstacles, which is why, to me, a mentor assessment is really important. When people even fix their mouths to say, man, I've been thinking about mentoring, I automatically get into the questions of like, okay, well, how much time do you have? Who do you want to mentor? Boy, girl, elementary school, middle school, high school, college age student, what side town? I start getting this information from them. And what the information does, it allows me to remove those barriers. And so if you think you got to show up for 1 hour once a week until the end of time, then I can remove that barrier. Or if you think you got to be in people's homes, let me remove that barrier. If you think you got to swipe your card and spend your own money, let me remove that barrier. If you feel like you have to be a subject matter expert outside of life, let me remove that barrier. If you think, let me remove it, because there's always somebody for somebody when it comes to mentorship. So those are the two things that I think prevent people from mentoring. One, the fear of being inadequate. And then two, feeling like I don't have the time or the money or all those different things. And so I remove those barriers so that people can get into the mentorship experience.
Wow, that's well said, man. And whenever you kind of listed off removing the barriers, that's one thing that a lot of people that do want to get into mentorship don't evaluate those barriers, right? They just say, hey, this is the barrier, but someone like you can evaluate that and say, hey, I can help you remove it by doing this, and so that's a pretty cool scope and position to look at it from, and it's kind of been helpful to hear that and refreshing. But let's skip down, because right now you're running for political office, and you have this expertise and being able to organize around mentorship. But there's also other disparities that you'll be working towards organizing around, one being economics. And so I want to see how, and from your perspective, your new perspective of being someone who connects people in mentorship, how does race and economic status impact mentorship access, and how do you envision bringing those two together as someone who's running in District 99? Yeah,
unfortunately, I think that race and socioeconomic status or economic status often carries an inaccurate and a misinformed, incomplete narrative. I went to a middle school and I was working with their leadership class, and I asked them to describe somebody who is rich. To describe just middle school kids, it's 6th through 8th grade. Describe to me somebody that's rich. And they started with profession, of course. But the more they talked, they started to describe things, amenities. And then after they moved from job and position or title, they worked through amenities. Then you start to get into some physical characteristics. Inevitably, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 times as we work through, doctor, lawyer, big house, nice car, dress well, we got to white. Literally 8, 9 times out of 10, it ended with white. And so, unfortunately, as it pertains to our youth, I think we kind of grow up hearing this narrative, seeing this narrative, which is why it's so important to get different people in front of our kids so they can see, so they can have a different story that's being told in their mind and in their hearts. And so why does race and economic development, the attachment between the two, why is that important to have that conversation? Because when I grew up, I saw a black police officer who had a fat crib and nice cars, who lived like cat a corner from my house. I saw people who not only drove buses, but were regional directors who were men and women of color that had nice cars and had nice houses. I remember seeing doctors and lawyers being out at Booker T, hanging out with some of in North Tulsa, with some of the family of my friends who lived in certain communities that had these things that were stereotypically associated with the white population. And so why do I think this is important? I think as we're talking about economic development and race, we have to expand the idea of what generates money. This is why education and exposure is so important at a very early age. Our kids are choosing from what they see. You know what I'm saying? Like if I put 2 burgers in front of you, one from McDonald's, one from Wendy's, you're like, okay, these are my 2 options. All right, let me get McDonald's. And on the other side of the table, that person has 5 options. And so they're like, I'm picking from these 5. But on another table, they got 10 options. Right. And so in the same way that our kids choose to go to school or not, whether they choose to, wear these shoes or not, I think we want to expand the options of what generates money and provides stability at a very early age. This is why pathways from classrooms to corporations is really important. This is why the community and classroom collaboration is really important. Because if I can show a kid somebody that's doing more than what they see, then they know they have more options to choose from. And the more options I have, I can build on my personal interests. And when I do something that I love, 1, I don't work a day in my life. 2, I'm more likely to pursue that thing. And when I pursue it, it allows me the opportunity to make money. So economic development and race has a very unique meeting point, and I think we can move that point in a different direction if we continue to have the conversation.
Absolutely, that's well said, and I think and that goes, within income, right, and then also into the wealth scope of things, because when we look at the kids that fall through the cracks, right, the kids that particularly mostly need the mentors, those are the ones that we can see that are mostly tied to a family with very low income and most likely are wealthless. And I say that in the most respectful way, but this the reality is that a lot of times those bridges that are needing to be connected to a career, to education, fall underneath the participation of the mentor, right? Is that safe to say? Right, that bridging that gap and that disconnect of the kids that are mostly in need of getting that pipeline to education or that pipeline to corporate. A lot of the kids that are from a multifamily or two-parent household might have a relative that they can mentor, but then there's those kids that, again, that are on the bottom of the economic totem pole that might miss that connection, and then serves in that mentor being able to be the bridge. Now I want to go back real quick. I know you're on short on time.
Hold on. You're saying some good stuff, brother. We can't blow through that. And this is why the crack theory. I actually don't want to call it that. The fall through the crack theory is I know. Well, let's not call it the crack theory. It's the falling through the crack is so important because it assumes. Oh, this is so good. It assumes that there is one level between success or failure. Falling through the cracks assumes that there's one level between success and failure. And what community does is that it provides multiple levels so that you have to continue to fall and fall and fall and fall and fall before you get to failure. So let me give you an example. I was talking to my dear friend and master mentor, Waylon Cubitt, and he talks about, shout out Waylon Cubitt. He talks about the importance of the number of caring adults in our lives. And you find the most non-adjacent, just kind of this, if you talked about success separate from relationship, you find that they follow a very parallel path. And it's strange to think that relationships, effective, healthy, impactful relationships, would be able to be correlated with success because they don't necessarily have to overlap, but they do follow a pattern. I'll give you an example. If my wife and I are the primary caring adult in a kid's life, let's just say that, and then you have a grandmother, and then you have an aunt or uncle, and then you have a coach, and then you have maybe your neighbor, and then you have a pastor or a youth pastor, and then you have the social clubs, and then and so right now what we're doing is we're adding all of these layers that someone has to, what's the poggle? You got to come all the way down. You got to fall through multiple cracks before we lose you versus there just being one. Wow. So this is why caring adults are so important, bro. Yeah. Because if you fall through one crack, you don't go all the way to the bottom to failure. Right. You get hit by another caring adult and another caring adult and another caring adult. If you are in school and you don't get along with one teacher, that's okay because you got 7 more that care about you. And if those 7 don't care, you got a counselor. And if that counselor doesn't care, you got a principal. And that principal doesn't care, you got a coach. And if the coach, you see what I'm saying? This is why it's so important for us to layer community, because the falling through the single crack, the implication of falling through one crack and then hitting the bottom, the cost is too great. Right. This is why community is so important.
Yes, that's beautifully said. Man, I want to take it real quick to a story at the gym. I go to the gym with my son, and I look up and see some kid doing a form wrong. And I'm like, should I go say something to him? And I thought about it for weeks on end, and then I had a gentleman looking at my son, and my son was working real hard on some weight that was too heavy for him. And I was about to make the correction, but before I made the correction, a gentleman came over and was like, "Hey, don't forget to tell your son about that mind-body connection. He's so concerned about what you think of him, that he's not lifting correctly." And so to your point, though, there's so many opportunities for us to step up and help make a correction for someone who doesn't know. And so with that being said, what do you recommend if someone finds themselves in a space where they see a kid that might be using the N-word at a football game crazy, and might have some aggressive behavior, or you might even see a kid that is at the grocery store and he might be doing something a little out of line, and you might be able to give him some free game. What do you say to that peer or that adult that might be in between that? Hey, should I speak up or should I not make a correction or should I not?
Yeah, that's good. I teach a class called the B series. I created these corporate beatitudes of what are some things that we can be at work to kind of help create community around us. And the very first thing is awareness, right? We got to be aware. And there are 5 components of awareness that I think everybody should tap into. Number 1 is we got to be self-aware. Number 2, we got to be other aware. We have to be aware of expectations and the consequences when we don't meet those expectations. And we have to be aware of the room and the environment that we're in. So I'm always interested in people who share space. Like, we have to be, first of all, aware of the space. A kid in my house that is doing something inappropriate or something that I disagree with, the way that I approach that kid is differently than a kid out in the community, right?
That's right.
And so
right.
Not only do I have to be aware of me, then I have to be aware of the surroundings. What's the expectation? What's the consequence of not meeting that expectation? And I also have to be aware of others. And so in a gym, if it's somebody that I've seen multiple times, then I feel more comfortable. Hey man, I've seen you in here a couple of times. I've seen you do this before. Hey man, today I just want to remind you, straighten your posture up, throw your shoulders back, whatever it is. Hey, keep it pushing. I'm gonna go back, put my headphones in, and move around. Would I do it the same if it's a male or a female? I don't know, because ladies is dragging these dudes online for interrupting their workouts at the gym.
Yeah,
I'm good, thank you. No,
right.
Listen, you had something going on that I was trying to. So I think it's very important. So what would I say? I know that's the question. I'm a storyteller. I'm long-winded. What would I say to someone who wants to do good, who has good intentions, that wants to approach somebody out in the community, whether it's a kid or a parent or adult, whatever it is? I would say, first of all, come with the utmost respect.
That's right.
I think if you lead with respect, then your intentions can be interpreted better on the back end, right? Hey, how you doing? My name is Derrick. What's your name? Hey, listen, I saw your kid over there. I don't know if that's what he was intending to do, but he was over there climbing on the things. And we in Walmart, right? Hey, I don't know if. Hey, how you doing? My name is Derrick. Is that your kid? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just want to let you know that was over. That's it. And I'm moving away. I think sometimes people be like, man, you need to get your bag, get off.
Right,
we kind of
exactly. Yeah.
Hey, get your mom.
Right. Yeah.
And I think during a time where we probably could have done that, I want to say the closest time that we probably could have done that was maybe 25 years ago.
Right.
I mean, I remember getting in trouble. My neighbors, they weren't even my family, bro. Yeah. I got in trouble with my neighbors. Yeah. I remember getting swats in school. I remember teachers yanking me up. When we're not in that time anymore. And so I think number 1, we got to do is lead with respect. Number 2, we got to have really good intentions. And number 3, we got to be willing to take whatever response they have, because while we can provide that feedback, we can't control how people respond. So if you're willing to approach people with respect, have good intentions, and then accept whatever they, give back, whether it's thank you so much or worry about your own kids, whatever it is, we got to be able to accept and tolerate and engage whatever people want to give us back. Because we're trying to give them something unsolicited. Yeah, they over here minding their business. And we coming over trying to be respectful with good intent. I would, let me say something else. I want to, I don't want people to be so afraid of offending folks that they say nothing though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we in this caring space.
Right.
It's like we in this caring space of I see what you're doing. You're a neighborhood association president, concerned neighbor, but we have to have some awareness about the situation. So it's this space where I don't want people to not say something if they're curious and if they're concerned, but you got to come with respect.
That's right.
You got to come with respect. You got to have good intentions, and then you got to be able to walk away or engage with people however they respond. Okay.
Yeah. Power in preface. Yeah. Now I know you say you.
Timer, bro.
Yeah. Huh.
So put me on the timer.
Yeah. No, you good, bro. And I appreciate you for explaining and expanding on certain things that you have the expertise in. Because I'm someone who's passionate about community and service. you know, and the more that I learn from people like you, the better off I am, the better off my kids are, and their network of friends are, and so forth. And I believe in that domino effect. And so if you got to be long-winded, be long-winded, because you're helping a lot of people out. Now, I know you said you had to be gone in about 45 minutes, right? We still got 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
About 45
I got
minutes.
two
We got
more
about 5
questions.
minutes left. Okay.
Okay, bet. We got two questions. And right now, the typical idea of mentorship is, hey, I'm going to call you. We're going to go get some ice cream. We're going to get some popcorn. Or we're going to go and sit at the park, skip some rocks or whatever. Do you feel like there's other ways and other avenues that people can do mentorship?
Yeah, absolutely.
Other than kind of the traditional way of mentorship visits?
Yeah, traditional mentorship is, you find a kid, you spend one-on-one time with them. If you're a really good mentor, you check in, follow up, meet their family, go into their environment, bring them into yours, teach them new things, expose them to some really cool things. That's traditional mentorship. There's nothing wrong with that. However, I think there's some non-traditional mentorship that takes place in groups, that takes place less frequently. I know that I have access to groups of kids, and they consider me their mentor. And I'm talking to these kids once a month. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in a group once a week. I wrote a book called Dear Daughter, and it's just kind of these notes that I've collected over time. And I'm speaking to my daughter through, written form. And I have been doing this mentor group out at Middale for about 3 years now. Well, I've done the traditional mentor group, with the mixed group and the fellas. I asked the lady, I said, can I mentor all girls based on this book? And she was like, ooh, I don't know if they'll be interested. Well, we started out with 8 girls. Those girls brought their friends. This is high school, by the way, 10. I've had as many as 15 girls in this group, all wanting the book, all talking about positive adult male role models in their lives. And it's always a daddy, daughter, grandpa, granddaughter dynamic. And they want to have the conversation, bro. And so while some people think that I got to have this one-on-one with this kid and I got to sit them in the front seat of the car and I got to be like, do this better, say this. Like, I'm meeting with a group of 15 young ladies once a week. And when I come through the door, they're excited to see me. Another thing I think that we need to consider with mentorship is one of my mentors is Dave Chappelle. And when I tell this to people, they're like, oh, Dave? I'm like, Dave, I'm from the gum on the bottom of his shoe. But what happens is when I watch his stand-up comedy, when I watch his interviews, I love his storytelling. I love the way he can thread a topic through multiple conversations and then bring it back at the end. I love how he takes his personal relationships and overlap it with his professional platform. And so I think there's this element of mentorship of finding someone who is doing what you want to do and then locking in on that person. Because while they may not know who you are, you know who they are. So mentorship can look virtual from a distance. It can look like a celebrity through podcasts. I love Joe Rogan's curiosity. I don't like his stance on a lot of stuff, but I like the fact that he's setting aside a day to just record with people. And it could be a 30-minute episode. It could be a 4-hour episode. Whatever the people are there for, I think he has this ability to do his research and to ask really good questions. And so do I have somebody that I sit with one-on-one? Yes. Do I have groups that I belong to? Yes. Do those groups vary? Are they Black men who are married? Are there professional settings? I'm hanging out with a lot of politicians now, right? I have these different groups and those are dope, but I also have people that don't know who I am who mentor me from a distance. And so when we think of mentorship, I think we have to broaden this idea of it just being one-on-one, older person, younger. I also have peer mentors. And if I want to be honest, some of my mentees teach me things. They keep me young and keep my language fresh, right? I tell you something that I don't even use anymore that I try not to, is that they be like, man, how tall was he? I'd be like 6'6", 6'7". They be like, 6'7". It's like all this stuff. They keep me young, they keep me hip, they keep me in the know. I said hip, like I was 80 years old. But yeah, man, I think this idea of mentorship has to change, because if we only lock it into one avenue, we miss an opportunity to mentor in other capacities.
Yeah, and that's a perfect bridge to our closing. Mentorship, you're going into the political space. We're trying to connect income, wealth, race, mentorship. Now, what is the next generation of Oklahoma youth and communities and districts like 99 look like if we get this mentorship gap right?
Man, I think it's dope. I think I was talking to Greg Jones, who works with the SBDA, and I shot some questions about economic development on our side of town. I said, man, what do small businesses need? Now, the reason this question is important because small businesses are looking up to big businesses for the way. What did they do? The people who have been successful, who filed with the state, that have identified their matrix, their target population, figured out their pricing, who their target community. Like they have done it, and then the small businesses are trying to figure out what they did when they were small to become big, right?
Right.
And the same thing is with people. It's the same thing. There's some young folks are looking up at older folks, and they're trying to figure out what it is. And so how do we tie in community economic development, kind of shrinking this income disparity? How do we tie in mentorship, like all these different things? It's getting people who have the information in the room with the people who want and need the information. That's housing, that's education, that is healthcare, that is whatever it is. There are people who have access, who have the influence, who have the information, and the people who need it but don't have it and they want it. How do we get those people together? How do we tear down the walls of the Capitol and the community? How do we get folks that are business owners and organizational leaders in the classrooms and shrink that gap? How do we get corporations and schools to partner? Because the gap between who has what and who doesn't is too large, and Oklahoma City's not that big. We're not that big, bro. We're not big enough to where there should be all these gaps. So when we talk about economic development, we're talking about this income disparity, we're talking about mentorship, sharing information. It all happens when we get multiple people in the room. So the big part about that is who gets them in the room.
Right.
Who gets them in the room? I can get people in the room. I've gotten people in the room. I've sat on boards. I've gotten mentors and mentees to connect. I've connected people that are trying to develop businesses with people who've already started businesses. I, as a business owner, actually have something called Friends of Derrick. It's a business networking a gathering, and I get people that have different businesses. We swap information. We partner. We write books together. We share. We do events together. So we got to find somebody that is able to identify the community that does not have but who wants it, and then the part of the community that has it and is willing to share it. And we got to have somebody that's going to get those two people together. And man, I've been doing that for a really long time. I think I can do it at a state level as well.
Wow. Proof's in the pudding. How can we check out your platform? How can we support your campaign?
Absolutely.
Where are you at on social media platforms?
Where are you at?
Where you at?
Where you at? Hey, listen, man, go to Derrick Sier OK99. That's on all platforms. It'll be out there eventually. Right now, it's just the email and the website. But you can go to the website and hit me out, check out my platform. Or you can go to Derrick Sier on social media. I've been posting a lot of things right there. I'll also share from my campaign page. But go to the website, go on social media. You'll find out all the information about my platform on the website and who I am as a human on social media. I want people to go there and find out. The other thing I want people to do is go register to vote. Yes. Go register to vote. Now listen, and I'm not saying that so you can vote for me. I would love for your vote to land in this bucket over here. But most importantly, when we talk about creating these spaces where people get to engage with folks, the easiest way to engage is by putting people in office that represent what you want and to vote on things that matter to you. We got healthcare coming up. We got minimum wage coming up. We got seats that we're trying to flip from Democratic to Republican coming up. We got all these things where people get an opportunity to sit at the table and cast their vote and cast their lot. And we can't do it if you're not registered. So I would encourage people to go register to vote so you can be at the table, be in the room when connections are taking place.
That's right, man. And we have it, man. Derrick Sier, he is America. This is America. If you got family that lives in District 99, y'all take this interview. If you like what you hear about Derrick, if you like what you research about Derrick, tell your friends at District 99 to pull up to the poll and cast a vote for Derrick. Derrick, thank you so much again for blessing the platform with your presence. And can we get you on another time, maybe later on in the year or next year? Yeah, let's keep this thing rolling. Yeah, because like I said, man, you are America, bro. This is America Podcast. Appreciate you, brother.